We're going to begin with an ankle sequence. It would be really beneficial to have bare feet or just socks rather than shoes for the sequence. You can really start to feel and work into the toe joints as well. You can use this as part of your warm-up for your squat session. Otherwise, just use this as a movement flow to really help to open up and work on that flexibility. We'll begin in a kneeling position with the toes hooked. And with the toes hooked, you can have a wiggle about. Just stretch into those toe joints. Notice how that feels. It might feel a bit too intense straight away. You can have some cushions, say, under your knees as well. Different ways to kind of modify that to make that feel a little bit more accessible if at the moment this feels way too intense. We're going to grip down into the toes. So think about the toes pushing into the ground, into the mat, and you'll feel intrinsically some heat firing up into the feet, working into those intrinsic muscles. And then from here, we're going to unhook. So we sit back, and you might be really tight into the tops of your feet, so it can help to put cushions or something underneath your bum, and that can help alleviate that tension too. While I'm here, this might be plenty. You might just want to sit in this position. Otherwise, we'll have a go at lifting one knee and then the other, and maybe both. Bring the knees back down, hook your toes again. Have a bit of a wiggle about, grip the toes into the mat, and we'll do that once more. Unhook, lift one knee, the other knee, both knees. You can even hold it here for a moment, and we'll go back into that toe hook. From here, we're going to have a little go at bringing ourselves into a squat. So to do that, I can either use my hands, which I recommend to start with, and then just see where can you get your heels to. See if you can sit all the way down. If you can't, don't worry. The other option is grip with the toes to lift the knees and actually pull yourself into that squat. Have a bit of a wiggle about in your squat as well if you can. You can use your hands either side of you for support. You don't have to be able to hold it without that support. And you're just making sort of circles, rolling those ankles as well, in and out. And then let's go back through again. So lift up onto the balls of your feet. And we're going to take the knees down. So you can do this with or without the hands. So use your hands for support. Otherwise, grip with the toes to control the movement. Start to send the knees down. Open the hips and you'll see us slightly lean back. Then let's unhook. Lift one, the other, maybe both. And let's go again. So we're back into that toe hook, grip, and lift the knees off the ground or use your hands. Don't worry if your heels don't touch down. Have a bit of a wiggle about. See if you can really roll around the edges of your feet as well. And you'll feel, hopefully, you might not, tension into the front of the legs. So we want to feel the muscles in the shin engaged. It's going to help pull the knee forward over the toes, and it will help you sit deeper in the squat. Sometimes we need to work the strength here, and you might also be tight in your calves, which can make it feel difficult to actually feel that activation in the front of the leg as well. Let's go again. So lift up, send the knees down, unhook and lift. Grip down through the toes and pull into your squat. Have another little wiggle about. You can also have a go at actually sitting on your bum from there and activating the shins by just lifting the toes or the tops of the feet up, like we're trying to close the gap between the top of the foot and the shin. And that's where you're going to feel your anterior tibialis muscle, which will be where we want to build lots of strength. This can really help with things like shin splints for running, for example, but also being able to have the strength to pull the knees over the toes, which will help with your ankle range of motion. Let's have a go at bringing ourselves up. So you can use your hands to come up, or if we can already sit down nice and low, see if you can lift up into your squat. And let's come down into a tabletop position. So we'll have hands under shoulders and then knees under hips. We're going to work through rotation at the hips, and also this will work end range strength. We're going to draw the knee in, work into deep end range hip flexion, and just try to keep the spine nice and long so that we don't really round out. Take the leg out to the side, feel the outer hip fire up, and then slowly make the circle into hip extension. And in this position, your knee might be quite low down. We don't want to arch into the lower back to compensate. So engage the glutes and the hamstrings. You'll feel quite a bit of heat there as you're really opening the hip, but drawing the ribs in. Then let's take the knee back into hip flexion and reverse it. Take it back. Big circle out to the side. Hip flexion and then lower. And we'll do it on the other leg as well. So I'll show you from this angle. We're going to go knee in and out. Don't try to bring it higher just for the sake of having it higher. We want to keep the hips nice and level. Slowly take it back. Squeeze your glutes and your hamstrings. Draw the knee in and then reverse it. Take it back. Keep breathing through your nose, out to the side. In and down. And we'll do that twice more each side, trying to work deeper into those end ranges where you can. Let's go knee in, breathe through the nose and out. Rotating your way back into hip extension, really firing up glutes and hamstrings, pinning the lower ribs in. Draw it forwards and then back again. Out to the side. Externally rotate, in and down, and then the other side. Hip flexion first, lower ribs in, take it out. Internally rotating the hip and making your way into hip extension. Drawing it back in and then reverse. Externally rotating it, bringing it around. In and down, and then we'll do one more each side. Should be feeling quite a lot of heat whilst you're going through this. Another reason why I always find it really great to do this sort of thing prior to squats, really opening up and working on that rotation and those end ranges. Keep breathing through the nose, keep really trying to work into that end range. Last one. And then release. Hook your toes again. And we'll go back into that squat, see how that feels. Lift up. Lower down, unhook, lift the knees, hook the toes, grip and pull yourself back. And then let's go one more time back down to the ground. And bring the hands forward. From our tabletop, we're going to take 1 foot up outside the hand. You can do this with your foot elevated on top of a box. You don't have to be all the way on the floor. For some, being elevated will actually be more effective. The other thing I can do is elevate my hands on blocks, because reaching for the ground, if we're then like this, really trying to reach for it, then we're not going to get what we need out of this movement. So try to really lengthen through the spine, belly button pulls towards the floor or between where the hands are. And we'll just feel this deep lunge stretch. The back knee can lower or lift. Make some circles, move around, and we're going to target into the spine a bit more here as well, which will help with that overhead position. The hand that's closest to the front foot is reaching up. Push through this bottom shoulder so you don't sink into it. Feel that rotation through the mid-upper back, and bring it down. And again, so just breathing in and out of your nose, moving in and out of this rotation, not rushing it. You can inhale while you're here, then exhale. Try to rotate a bit more. And you can continue moving just like this. Otherwise, maybe you can come down a little bit deeper. And in that case, I'm going to take my inner forearm to the ground. So if you move the outside hand further away, take the inner forearm down and then reach up and back. And then let's switch to the opposite side. Take that knee back, switch to the other leg. Hands are inside that front foot. The back knee can be down or elevated. And we'll start by just reaching the inside hand up. Push through the bottom shoulder, rotate the chest, lifting up. And just moving in and out. Using your breath. And you can continue just like that, otherwise, hand comes out further and we draw the forearm down. Really working into that deep hip flexion, also the back hip extension, and rotation of the thoracic. Once more. Bring the hand down and bring yourself back. And then let's just go through that ankle sequence one more time. Pulling yourself into that squat. Notice how that squat feels. Have a bit of a wiggle about. Lift up. Take the knees down. And from there, that's our dynamic movement session, which you can use obviously just as a way to work on your flexibility or use that prior to your squat session. I hope you enjoyed that flow, guys. Let me know how you get on. I'll see you for the next one.